Jesus had days like this.
Greetings everyone. This video will be my response to Destiny and their uninformed perspective on communism. I think this needs to be addressed because Mr. Pullman and seemingly the rest of Destiny doesn't seem to have much understanding of communism. But before I get carried away, I'll let Mr. Pullman have his say.
Where we are in explaining the teachings of Jesus, which is to love your neighbor and to give as you would like to receive, which is the principle of equality and doing what's best for all, which is benevolent, which is the best it can ever be. You're suddenly called a communist by a Christian. That's like crazily screwed up, isn't it?
Yes, very interesting. Number one, Jesus really has nothing to do with communism. Communism is a social economic system that evolved from a certain time and place, i.e. the 19th century, and was a reaction to the new systems of commerce emerging at that time and the negative side effects of the new industrial age. Number two, Jesus talked many times that his kingdom was not of this world. Therefore, Jesus would not have desired anything which would have set up a system through control or political power or anything roughly similar to what you're trying to do. 3. Jesus was talking about people helping others on an individual basis, and without any force, coercion, or through any form of imposed would-be economic systems. Number 4. But since we're on the subject, who are you helping exactly, Mr. Pullman? Oh, that's right. Yourself, via your scam and con to make people think you were helping them to change themselves and the world. So I agree. You're definitely not a communist. You just use something which looks like communism to deceive and manipulate. You're actually the worst form of capitalist since you sell nothing but garbage and illusions through preying on the hopes and dreams of others.
People being completely ignorant about what is equality, what is communism, what is capitalism.
Right. People being ignorant about what is equality, what is communism, and what is capitalism. Well, let's start with you. However, I think you need to say a few more stupid things here, so I'll let you continue.
Communism was just an extension of capitalism. It was brought to power and to bear through money, and it caused the same control. That's why today China is a communist country, but not really. It's actually the country of Santa Claus, where all the little Chinese elves produce all the beautiful goodies for all the Christians in the world. It's just a glorified capitalistic system with absolute dictatorship control.
Okay, Mr. Pullman. If you were actually informed about communism and actually took some actual time to research the subject, you would find that communism has the same basic starting point as your equal money system idea. The only difference is that communism, in comparison to the EMS, is that it is far more eloquent and articulate. But let us let the Communist Manifesto speak for itself, shall we?
The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relations. It has pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties that bound men to his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest, than callous cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervour, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism in the icy waters of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and, in place of the numberless and feasible chartered freedoms, has set up that single, unconscionable freedom, free trade. In one word, for exploitation, veiled by religious and political illusions, naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. The Communists do not form a separate party opposed to other working class parties. They have no interests separate and apart from those of the proletariat as a whole. But communism abolishes eternal truths. It abolishes all religion and all morality, instead of constituting them on a new basis. It therefore acts in contradiction to all past historical experience. The immediate aim of the communist is the same as that of all the other proletarian parties: formation of the proletariat into a class, overthrow of the bourgeois supremacy, conquest of political power by the proletariat. The proletariat will use its political supremacy to wrest, by degrees, all capital from the bourgeoisie, to centralize all instruments of production in the hands of the state, i.e., of the proletariat organized as the ruling class, and to increase the total of productive forces as rapidly as possible. Of course, in the beginning, this cannot be effected except by means of despotic inroads on the rights of property and on the conditions of bourgeois production, by means of measures, therefore, which appear economically insufficient and untenable, but which, in the course of the movement, outstrip themselves, necessitate further inroads upon the old social order, and are unavoidable as a means of entirely revolutionizing the mode of production. When, in the course of development, class distinctions have disappeared, and all production has been concentrated in the hands of a vast association of the whole nation, the public power will lose its political character. Political power, properly so called, is merely the organized power of one class for oppressing another. If the proletariat, during its contest with the bourgeoisie, is compelled by the force of circumstances to organize itself as a class, if, by means of a revolution, it makes itself the ruling class, and, as such, sweeps away by force the old conditions of production, then it will, along with these conditions, have swept away the conditions for the existence of class antagonisms and of classes generally, and will thereby have abolished its own supremacy as a class.
Furthermore, let me respond to Pullman's position on China. You see, Mr. Pullman, China is simply the evolution of communist principles put in place since the 1950s. And even though its goal was the elimination of class stratification, i.e. manifesting equality, the end result is the object of your disdain. Its starting point in ideology is not what you see today. It's simply the result of applying those principles which you echo on a practical physical level. Humans simply have the tendency of ruining any utopian economic system. China ceased being a pure form of communism, or a more pure form of communism, in the 80s when it adopted certain market reforms. While the subject is a bit more complex than this, you seem to turn a blind eye to the evolution of social systems. Destiny's EMS is a failure because it has not learned from previous systems. It doesn't take into account effective systems of ensuring productivity while maintaining actual quality. Destiny demonstrates nothing that would show it as something that would effectively overcome the mistakes of past systems. Also, Destiny's EMS seems to hold money up as the beginning and end of all human misery and potential for equality. It denies the existence of scarcity due to the illusion of abundance brought about by cheap energy. Addressing energy and resources are the beginning of an actual system of equality, not repetitively discussing an artificial monetary system that seems to exist in a vacuum. Therefore, for anyone who is really interested in actual and potentially effective economic equality, I would suggest researching and investigating anarchism and libertarian socialism, and not Bernard's crass excuses for brain farts and wishful thinking.
If you are reacting to any of the Destiny videos, know one thing. You are brainwashed.
You know, that's interesting because I could see the same of you since you and your followers react to our videos through false DMCAing and false flagging. I mean, you really do act like a giant kid when someone talks back to you, and you have this need to silence them. Of course, you get to dress it up with Destiny jargon, so it seems okay and justified. But at the end of the day, you're just a petty, angry, little man with delusions of grandeur.
Positive energy to charge you up, to protect, through positive thinking, the elite in the world and the money system of abuse.
You know, I really don't give a crap about protecting the wealthy and the elites. What I do care about is when someone misuses and misrepresents certain ideologies through wiping his ass with them and then dressing them back up to sell his BS to vulnerable people. That's what I care about. Also realize, Mr. Pullman, that the wealthy and the elite don't care about needing protection from you, since you are in all probability beneath their contempt.
Where we use mathematics to work out what is best for all, 1 + 1 = 2.
Your version of mathematics begins and ends with 1 + 1 = 2. If this is all Destiny has to offer in terms of mathematics, then something as basic as the will must look like rocket science to you. Anyway, thank you for listening. This has been xfinksx speaking to you from somewhere outside of the dimensions.